Welcome back to RSAC TV. I'm Jason Heiner from ZDNet and Tech Republic. And with me, I've got another special guest, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Ryb Clyde. I'm the vice chair of ISACA.
Very good.
And I also serve on a couple of other boards. I'm on the board of Titus and the executive chair for White Cloud Security.
So tell us a little bit about, what ISACA does and, the kind of stuff that you're focused on right now.
Sure. So ISACA is a professional association, but we really exist for encouraging and instilling confidence in technology. Now, that sounds like cybersecurity at its core. And we also own CMMI. So we have a mission both for the individual professional, where we have many members and others. We have 140,000 members, 500,000 professionals that engage with ISACA every single year.
Wow.
Either through certifications or knowledge that they want to get. And then we also serve enterprises by providing them with the necessary confidence that they can have in the capabilities of their technology organizations.
All right, fair enough. So you guys also do research.
We do.
And you have some recent research that's come out. And so let's talk about, first some of the technical parts of what you found, and then there's some soft skills or cultural parts of the research as well. But let's start with some of the technical stuff. What were some of the big findings that you guys came with?
So on the technical side, not a big surprise for those of us who've been in cybersecurity for a long time.
Yeah.
But we did find that more than half of our respondents expect that the threats and the attacks will actually increase this year.
Okay.
As they thought last year,
sure,
and the year before, and the year before that. In other words, as we move forward, and I think not necessarily because we're not able to do a good job as security professionals, but because the complexity of our environments and at the same time the increasing sophistication of the attackers and funding of the attackers make it challenging, and that challenge just seems to grow faster every single year.
Very good. So what were some of the top data points, from the study that you guys are talking about this year?
Yeah, so good news, we found 64% of security budgets were increasing.
Okay.
So almost everybody said, yeah, our budgets are getting bigger. And yet, at the same time, we've had this tremendous skills gap that continues to grow.
Yeah.
And we actually had more people this year say that they were having trouble hiring people than even last year.
Okay.
So we have a situation where only 20% said they could fill positions in 2 months or less.
Okay. Wow.
That's not so good.
Yeah.
After 6 months, 25% are still unfilled.
Still looking. Okay.
And some say they can never fill them. And so it's not just a money problem, clearly. It's a talent gap issue. And by some indications, by the year 2020, about 2 million positions will be out there to be filled.
Just in cybersecurity.
Just in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough in terms of talent to go around. So we've got to find other ways of cross-training and perhaps looking at other areas of our population that we might bring in cybersecurity professionals.
So did you have recommendations? With all the work that you do certifying people, education, primarily a big part of what you do is education related. Are there recommendations that your organization makes for how to solve it?
ISACA has quite a few recommendations.
Good. Okay.
So we have looked at this problem now for several years and talked to a lot of our experts within the industry that are members of ISACA to get their advice in this area. So, number of things. First of all, look at people in adjacent fields. Just don't try to steal people from other companies, because that's all that tends to happen right now. And
it's a zero-sum game.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
And now it just means the next company has to look for somebody.
Sure.
So a lot of turnover in the industry is not necessarily a good thing. So we need to actually build the pool, and that takes a concentrated effort. So look at like network admins, for instance. Look at people in other fields, anywhere in IT. Computer programmers that have been programming for 10 years and are ready for a change. might just be somebody that has a strong aptitude for math and science. I've known physicists, for example, who made great cybersecurity experts.
Cool.
So we can go to non-traditional avenues and look at cross-training people and come into cybersecurity. So that's one avenue.
Great.
I think another important aspect is, in fact, the education.
Okay.
And we should consider that this is a field where non-traditional education, in other words, is the 4-year degree the most important thing? Or is it training and certifications from organizations like ISACA and many others that are out there that might actually be more important? And I would argue that in this field in particular, getting a good, solid technical foundation, maybe even just 1 or 2 years and an educational type program, IT or some type of technical training, plus appropriate certification, is probably more valuable and less expensive than a 4-year degree. So something for universities to be thinking about what they're offering. Many have already started figuring this out. And for companies to maybe stop asking that they have a bachelor's as the minimum requirement, because I'm not sure that is the minimum requirement in order to go into this field.
Okay, fair enough. Now, one of the things that could help solve the gap was also in your research, and that is the gender gap in this field. It obviously reflects the larger gap in the field itself, but it is particularly acute in security as well. What did you guys find there?
Yeah, we've noticed this problem at ISACA for some time. In fact, we started a program called She Leads Tech. And have funded that, and it's been very active and having tremendous effect. But one of the things we've seen both anecdotally and from other surveys, sadly, is the mix of men and women in the cybersecurity industry is held steady at about 11%.
Yeah.
We're not making progress. So we said this year for the State of Cybersecurity report, we're going to ask a gender-related question, a diversity question. And so we asked companies a fairly simple yes or no question. Do you believe in your organization that the advancement opportunities for women are the same as for men? Yes or no? And interestingly enough, across the board, there was a 31% gap between the way women answered the question and the way men answered the question. 82% of men, only 51% of women. Now, this is where it got exciting. So I was like, oh, man, that's worse than I thought it would be. I was hoping it would be better. This is where it really got exciting. Because we also asked, do you have a diversity program at your organization, yes or no? Well, if you answered yes to that question, we took a split. So organizations that had a diversity program, the gap narrowed to just 10%. So when you ask the question, do diversity programs work? Do they actually make a difference, at least for the field of cybersecurity?
It appears like they do.
It's a big difference. The ones that said no, the gap was 37%. So diversity organization with diversity programs, 10% gap, not bad, getting there.
Yeah, work to do, but
the rest, 37%,
not good.
A lot of work to do. So that would be one of the big aha moments from this is, you know what, it helps. It really helps.
Yeah, very good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about CMMI, because you guys don't just do education, but now you're also doing some proactive work that helps people figure out where they sit with cybersecurity and how much work maybe they have to do in their work. And so why don't you talk a little bit about what CMMI is and how it came to be part of ISACA first?
Sure, yeah, let me start with that. So CMMI was started by Carnegie Mellon over 2 decades ago. And it
stands for
Capability Maturity Model Institute.
Very good.
And it came out of the Software Engineering Institute of Carnegie Mellon. I definitely want to give them all the credit for having the vision to create this. And the idea was to provide a way that you can measure the capability of your software development or IT departments in terms of how mature they were. And they had a 1 to 5 scale. It's very popular. It's used all around the world. It's used by governments during procurement processes where they'll actually ask, so you develop software, great, what CMMI level are you at?
Yep.
And you'll see firms in India advertise, we're CMMI level 5, the highest. So very well known, well understood. And for years, people have been asking, can we have something like that for cyber?
Yeah.
And I use the word cyber because it's more than just cybersecurity. It's really, if you think about maturity, you move towards cyber resilience is maybe the ultimate point to get to. Can I stay up? Am I running all the time? Do I have the right privacy elements in? So cybersecurity, a key piece of it, but not the only piece. So Carnegie Mellon came to the wise decision that it was actually time to let CMMI live on its own. And it was time for it to, in order to grow and do what it needed to do, move outside of the university environment. So they spun it out and wanted an organization, ideally a nonprofit. Association would be great.
Yes.
And we were there. ISACA was large enough. We had the wherewithal, as you've kind of heard a little bit about us, to actually buy CMMI and bring it in under the ISACA umbrella, which we've done. It's been now part of our organization for 2 years.
Very cool.
Thrilled to say that. I was actually on the board when we did this move. I remember it well. And there was broad agreement that we needed to do this and have this chance to serve the enterprises that our members are part of, and that the people who look to ISACA for guidance are part of, because we've had COBIT, we've had enterprise guidance, but now we have a vehicle that can actually provide that. So we've actually made a pretty big announcement now at this conference relative to CMMI.
All right, let's hear it.
So we have come out with the first release of the Cyber Maturity Platform. And with this platform, you can actually assess your capabilities, and even more importantly, because it's not just good enough to assess, you can get a roadmap, a risk-based roadmap to where you want to get to in terms of maturity. Because many organizations may find, and it uses the familiar level 1 through 5. So we tried to keep it in an area that boards and others are already familiar with. The second key component, though, will answer a question, and I'm, as you heard, I'm on a number of boards. I frequently interact with other directors, and I can tell you, here's the question they all ask about cyber. So where are we at? Where do we stand versus others in our industry? Are we good? Are we bad? Are we getting better or worse? Well, up to this point, those have been really hard questions to ask.
Very subjective, right? Yeah. Very, very subjective.
In fact, you generally tended to have the questions be like, did we get broken into, yes or no? And in this day and age, the answer is yes. Should we tell you how many times? And will we get broken into again? Yes. The question is, how do we handle all of this, and what's our level of maturity? And so not only can we get this information, but we'll actually be able to slice and dice it by industry, company size, many different areas, and you can actually get a benchmark. How does my organization compare against others like me? And where's my target of where I want to get to? So now I can have a discussion with my board around my maturity, around really where am I at? And have it come from not a vendor who might, I love vendors. I've been a vendor my whole life in my day job. But trust me, vendors, when we do assessments, the answer is always, and oh, by the way, we have a tool or a service that'll just happen to fill the gaps of your assessment. We could care less what the answers are. We actually, just as with the other CMMI work that was done, we just want to give you a real answer, and an answer that will be viewed well by the community. So it maps to NIST, it maps to ISO 27001, maps to COBIT, it maps to frameworks that people are used to, and they can answer those questions as well at the more technical level, the regulator level, et cetera, of how well they map to well-known frameworks, all built into this single capability that we've built in the Cyber Maturity Platform.
Cool. So if I'm a CIO or a CISO and I say, great, we want to figure out where we're at, how do we, and we would like you guys to help us do it. Where do they get started?
Sure. So just contact CMMI. It's out there now on our website. You can find it. Go there, ask for some information. By the way, if you're here at the show, please come by our ISACA booth.
Cool.
We're actually doing some demos that you can arrange if you have time. I know it ends on Thursday, but if you have time, there's some demos that are available to see. Or you can arrange a time for us to be able to show you over the phone a demo of what it can do. And then you can get started. You get started with an initial assessment of one of your business units if you're a large organization, or even assessment in total for a smaller organization. And we'll take you through this process. Define your target. So where are you trying to get to? You shouldn't probably try to get to level 5 on day 1, just as with older CMMI, and we'll help you figure out through the platform. We'll actually help guide you. So it's not just, picking numbers out of the air. It'll actually guide you to this through well-prepared questions, and the guidance will lead you to what your target should be. Then you'll be able to do an assessment and then actually get a roadmap and track progress.
Nice, yeah.
So it's not just a point in time, but it's continuously updated, unlike a spreadsheet. It's going to be continuously updated all of the time so that you can actually see movement and answer the board. Hey, we were here before.
Here's where we're at
now.
We're
better. Life's getting better.
So it's not necessarily a busload of consultants and $1 zillion. It can start even with just a phone call to get it started.
It's a very easy, simple way in order to get started.
Okay.
Now, if you're a large organization, might you hire some consultants or reach out to one of the big four to assist you to reach your target, or buy some vendors' products? Most likely. I don't want to make it seem like this is push one button and your security issues are over. But I think it fills that critical need that boards have been asking for, to answer those questions of how good is my security really? Because answering it, which is the default way they have been doing it, did I get broken into, yes or no? Most boards are now savvy enough to know that's a useless question.
Yeah, very good. Interesting stuff. Well, good luck. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you being here. All right, that's it for RSAC TV for now, but stay tuned. There's more coming up next.